Dr. Randy Dunn and his lovely wife, Rhonda, are here with us this afternoon. Please join the Board of Trustees in welcoming Youngstown State University's newest penguins, Dr. Randy Dunn and Rhonda Dunn. Dr. Randy Dunn, he is our incoming president, starting in 1 month's time, and Rhonda Dunn.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming out. I really don't have anything to add in terms of a statement beyond what I'd shared with the board at the meeting, other than for the fact that I would reiterate we are certainly very honored by the trust and confidence placed in us by the Board of Trustees at YSU. Certainly when you take on presidency of an institution such as this, you are serving in the stewardship role, and there are many who play that role at the university, but as a president, I take that very seriously and am committed as we come here to Youngstown State to really building on so many successes that have taken place, particularly some in the recent past that the university is celebrating, and work to my utmost to continue to build on that record and carry on that great tradition of being just a very strong, well-respected regional state university. We'll be starting, as Dr. Garg had mentioned, officially on July 15th. That'll be my first day of work, and we'll probably doing a couple of events that day as I try to get around campus and meet some individuals, and my guess is that you'll be informed about those by Ron and others on staff. We plan to move in the week prior, so we'll obviously be coming into the Pollock House and working all of those details that week before I start my appointment officially on the 15th. So with that, until someone calls a halt to the proceedings, I'm fine. If you do have some questions, do my best to answer those. Rhonda's fair game too, certainly if there's anything you want to know from her, and we'll take a few minutes here if you wish, if there's anything you want to ask about. And if not, I won't be offended. Sure.
What's your biggest concern with your new position?
Well, I don't know that, I look at it as a concern. Every university presidency, particularly a public university presidency, is going to have challenges that you have to deal with. And as I've mentioned before in other settings with regard to YSU, we're going to look to continue progress, particularly in areas of enrollment, stabilizing revenue with the overall budget, and really focusing heavily on regional outreach, particularly economic development. So while those are things that we have to be attending to early on, that isn't to suggest that work hasn't been taking place there anyway, but I do want to really come in and get involved in a more granular level with the details of the work that are taking place, so I can look at ways I can add value to that. The progress is coming, and I just want to make sure that I'm putting my shoulder to it as well to see some gains over time.
Any comment you'd like to make with the recent approval of the budget, the tuition increase? But since this is usually a question we ask of the president.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's coming no matter what. Well, one of the things that Youngstown State shares with the institution we're coming from in Kentucky is this high value that's placed on providing a quality education at a very reasonable price. It's an education of high quality and high value, and I think the board particularly, as well as those in the university administrative structure who are working on looking at things like pricing and how we put a budget together, are very attuned to that principle. So as we look at the tuition increase and what we're able to do with that, I think it continues to hew to this very strong tradition that YSU has had, a high quality, high value, and with the level of increase that we're looking at for next year, I don't think we're violating that principle. I think it's appropriate for where the market is, where the economy is as we go forward to next year. It wasn't easy to get the budget done. I mean, in these times, as we've looked at the loss of our state subsidy, and trying to accommodate that, which the university has had to attend to very seriously over the past couple of years, as you all well know. That's, they've been able to do that, keeping tuition increases very, very modest, while still retaining what makes YSU, and what draws students to us.
Dr. Dunn, I know
Sure.
you come from Murray State, where your contract was not renewed
Uh-huh.
by the board. Dr. Garg said in the meeting, Murray State's loss is YSU's gain, Kentucky's loss is Ohio's gain. Would you care to comment on your transition from school to school, from board to board, from contract to contract?
As I've shared with a number of folks, every university, every board has its own landscape. And it isn't for a president anywhere to come in and try to change that or fix it or adjust to it. Rather, the challenge becomes for a new CEO, a president, a leader to come in and figure out a way to adjust the mindscape to that landscape while moving the university forward. So as I look at the things we're dealing with here, they're not uncommon to so many state universities around the country. Similar challenges that I dealt with at Murray State. And as I look at what we're going to be having to address going forward, I do feel it's a set of issues that I'm pretty conversant with, pretty comfortable in managing. Not to say that they're easy answers for them, but they're the same types of challenges that so many campuses are dealing with around the country today, and certainly Murray State has been in that group as well. So as I come to Youngstown State, I really do think I don't want to sound too cocky about this, but I do really think that I am going to be able to hit the ground running to be able to move forward with a number of the things that we're trying to address right now. And part of that has been the good help of the university in supporting that transition. Staff here, particularly in senior leadership, have been very forthcoming. I've had time to work with President Anderson on a couple of occasions to get up to speed. I shared with the board that I have an entire section of a credenza on my desk in Murray, Kentucky that's YSU materials, and I've been educating myself around all of those types of things. So you don't want to come off sounding too certain, but I think we're going to have about as seamless a transition as you can have in bringing in an external candidate.
Have you had many conversations with Dr. Anderson? You mentioned.
Yeah, we've had 2 in person and then some back and forth beyond that, and they've been very substantive. She's been very willing just to have good, honest president-to-president discussions with me. I've found those very helpful. So much of the transition that takes place isn't just about policies and regulations and budgets. It's also understanding the culture of a place, the community that we're coming into, the people who make the university what it is. And a lot of our talks have just been to help me have a richer understanding of that as well, because you can read all the policies and collective bargaining agreements and things of that nature, but you really don't know the university until you find out about the region. And this is, again, particularly true for regional state universities, until you find out the community that it's in, the challenges you're trying to help address, and the people that are doing that work. And that's been an important part of our conversations.
You were talking about bringing in revenue, and I'm reading about you about $800,000 in grants.
Right.
It seems though Youngstown State has been pretty aggressive
Yes.
in getting grants. Is there anything that it should be doing that maybe it hasn't been looking into?
Well, if you look at the university's strategic plan, they have set out a pretty aggressive target over the coming years. One of the things that I want to assist with is looking at how we do our grants work here at the university. So there's an entire infrastructure that's created around how you do development of grant applications. Once those grants are awarded, how they're managed over time, how you do contract administration, et cetera. And what I do want to assist with, and again, this isn't to suggest that it's not being done well, but one of the things I want to make sure that we're doing is really having ourselves staffed in sponsored programs and contracts administration in a way that is assistive and supportive of the faculty and staff who are going out and doing this work. There ought to be all kinds of assistance that we provide from the university to those individuals who are going to be the principal investigators on grants and contracts in knowing how to write those applications, in building the budgets, in administering that work, in filling out the reports that you typically have to do on a quarterly or otherwise basis. And that's where I think that we can look to maybe add some value at the university. The creativity comes from the faculty and staff who are thinking up these great ideas and going out and getting the money. What we need to be doing on the administrative side is ensuring that we have a structure in place so that they're able to do this creative, innovative work while having the help on the administrative side to manage the money well, to make sure all regulations are complied with and that type of thing.
Can I ask a question of Mr. Dunn?
Sure. Hi Denise, by the way. Good to see you again.
What do you see your role being both at the university and in the community when you both arrive?
Oh, I'll probably do as much as I can to just feel my way through and be as helpful and involved in as many things as I can. It's like he said, it's a different community, and I want to be a help in promoting the university. We'll be living in the house that just had a fabulous makeover, and I want people to be able to see that and enjoy that as well. So I mean, I have a doctorate in education as well, so who knows what I'll be doing.
One of the things that we're excited about is, as Rhonda mentioned with the Pollock House, we're really looking forward to having opportunities to open that great asset. I mean, it really is a jewel of YSU, to be able to open that to the community, to look at appropriate events and gatherings that we'll be able to host there for the university, really for all of our constituencies, whether student groups, donors, community members. This is an important outreach effort that any president and spouse undertake, and I'll say we enjoy it, and actually I hope do it pretty well, and we're really excited about being able to have that asset available to the larger university community to really come and get to know us and celebrate what we're accomplishing here at YSU. Sure.
Let's assume that it's July 14th, 2014. You just wrapped up your first year. How will you know whether you're on the right track and whether you need to make any corrections?
Well, some of that's going to be discussed with the board when I come. I think one of the challenges that's going to have to take place is that we have this very comprehensive, in fact, some might use the word massive, strategic plan around 4 cornerstones to in essence guide the future direction and the work of the university over the next 7 years or so. For me, the challenge within that larger document, which I do think is very well done, I think it's appropriately written, structured, I think it speaks to the things that are important to YSU. But one of the challenges that is going to exist is the fact that you can't do everything in that plan in that 365 days between the day I start and the date you mentioned. So what I want to do is have an opportunity to create a work plan, if you will, with the board about where they want to see concentration and effort on my part coming first. That then becomes the basis to talk about what progress is getting made, the evaluation that will be taking place of my performance, and that type of thing. But I still hearken back, as I did in that first question, to those big pieces of work that we all know are out there. How are we doing in building enrollment? How are we doing in stabilizing the budget? What are we doing with regard to programs and services? Those are going to be the large kind of elements that are going to have to be front and center. The specifics of that, though, I do want to talk to the board about with regard to a work plan for me, because The challenge you have as a president, particularly when you have a comprehensive plan that's really as broad as the one YSU wisely adopted a few years back, is that I could come in and say I'm going to do 100 things. When you try to accomplish 100 things, you accomplish nothing. So there has to be some clarity around that kind of discrete set of work that defines that first couple of years for me, have that in agreement with the board. That gives me a roadmap to work from, and then we come back and start looking at that one and 2 years out to see how we're going. As that gets done, it opens up the direction then for what comes next on the plate as we go, kind of chunking out that strategic plan all the way out to 2020 to get everything accomplished.
Looking back on your time at Murray State, what is the accomplishment that you are either proudest of or take the most satisfaction in?
At Murray State, we did a lot of things that I think we're both very proud of, and kind of will spare you the litany of that. But I guess if I had to kind of broadly conceptualize or frame it, it would be the work that was done around outreach to the region, and taking this great engine of the university, and that exists here as well. When I talk about what we did at Murray State, I see the same wonderful opportunities and experience here to take this great engine, economic engine, academic capacity, opportunity that exists when the university to really build, nurture, and support the entire region that we're called to serve, as well as the state as a whole. Now, that's not to say we're going to take our eye off the ball on our core business, which is teaching and learning, progressing students through to degree. That's at the heart. That's the core work. But for me, and for some that came to all my forums on campus about a month and a half ago, you heard this. The defining element for a great state university, we're not talking about places like Ohio State or the University of Kentucky, great regional campuses that are publics in the country, is this ability for the region and the university to come together. Whereas one grows, the other benefits and grows as well. And I alluded to this a little bit in my comments in the boardroom. It really is neat to see how Youngstown and the Valley, and they're still in this process, has reinvented itself and come to how it defines a new economy and tries to set the stage for the future. And I don't want to sugarcoat things. This is hard work. There are challenges. And Youngstown and the Mahoning Valley are dealing with this, but it's happening, and you can see it in some of these announcements that have been taking place with the university and in the region as a whole. This then becomes a great opportunity for now the university to reimagine its role and to see what it does to add value to that reinvention, what it brings to the table, and in so doing, and we're going to gain from that as well. We build and nurture and grow the valley, its economy. As that happens, we benefit, and there's this mutual gain that over time is powerful. We were able to do that in Western Kentucky in a number of ways. Economic development, job creation, health and wellness, educational attainment, partnering with K-12 school systems. And it's not for me to come dictate what those should be as I come to YSU, but to say there's going to be just as many of those opportunities here, and I want to make sure we're capitalizing on them. It grows us, it grows the valley.
How open are you going to be to student input?
Very much so. Yeah, and really all constituencies' input. The university is owned and in many ways run by no one person. Particularly as a public body, there is this imperative that everyone who has skin in the game should have a voice in how we move forward. And students have to have that role, as faculty, staff, community members, and others do. The challenge is how we create opportunities to make sure all those voices are heard and those constituencies have a place at the table. And I think the university knows that's important, and we'll continue to build on that. And I think I'll have some ways too to be able to make sure those voices get heard. One of the things you'll find out about me, I'm not one who kind of lobs these bombs, as sometimes you'll see presidents take a role to do, and then hope everybody kind of scurries around and follows after you lob the bomb. I tend to be much more contemplative and thoughtful where the opportunity exists on big moves that we make, to ensure we're hearing from everybody, that many voices contribute to the actions that are going to take place at the university, and try to have it so everyone's coming together to move forward, as opposed to lobbing a bomb and hoping that people will run after it and hearken to what it is you're calling to do. It's just different presidents have different styles, and I tend to like to have everyone moving together as opposed to being this type of president that just kind of gets goofy and moves without having the buy-in and support from the many groups that make the university.
Might make for better copy if you did.
Well, I'm just not even going to go there to talk about recent events in Ohio. As we work together over the years, it'll certainly be the case at different times that I'll have my faux pas and do things that I might have rethought. The challenge becomes for any president, what's the driver behind the actions, and why is it that you're doing what you're doing, and what you want to see is that it's because of an affection, a love for a place, and trying to do good work to move it forward. So sometimes, even though I'll goof up, I always want to make sure that the intention, the motivation's coming from that, and if that's the case, I'll stand to be beat up on a little bit when I say the wrong thing.
Okay.
Did I make it, Ron? We good?
You did.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Look
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you all. Thank you.